And then he slapped me around my face. I'm not gonna have it. In the car, I've got a gun. I'm not having it, yeah, I'm coming. Walked up the hill, they're there, yeah, and I can see that they're looking as if to say, what's going on? And I just backed it, yeah, I just pulled the thing out straight like that, yeah, and then I let it off. My name's Tony Sales and I've been branded Britain's greatest fraudster. So the largest amount of money that I got in a day was £500,000. It took weeks to set up, a really complicated scam involving accountants and companies that have been set up to filter the money off, including an internal bank manager that also helped the process of the cash come into the branch. I waited for a couple of hours. I mean, I was sweating because I didn't know what was happening, but they were counting the money. I actually waited in the branch for 4 hours. So I did a buzz of it, yeah, of just getting that. Because you just can't believe you've pulled that sort of job off. I soon started to think about what could happen in the background, yeah, and that kind of wears off the feeling, you know, but that's after a few days of partying hard and enjoying myself. Altogether, I've spent 27 months in prison. Prison it's okay. People always tell me, oh, I'd die if I go to prison. Well, you wouldn't. You just have to get on with what's in front of you, and you'd be surprised that as a human, we're capable of doing. They're a bit silly sometimes, prisons. They put me, John Darwin, the famous canoe guy that you may have seen a show about on TV, and another guy that had hacked DVLA and was issuing driving licenses to people. They put all three of us in the same bit in the jail. I think the first time I went to jail was more like University of Crime. I spent 3 months with a casino cheat and learnt like loads of casino cheating stuff. You know, I spent some time with armed robbers and other fraudsters and dippers, like people that pick pockets. And so when I come out, the first time I come out of a whole load of knowledge that I didn't have, that allowed me definitely to upscale criminally. More connections, more people, you're in it and you're just doing it. Yeah, I'm a product of my environment for sure. You know, like many criminals today will all tell you the same thing. They're all a product of their environment. So in the beginning, it starts off because you're hungry and you want to fit in. I'm not the same as the other kids. You know, my peer group are also experiencing very similar things. We've all grown up with a little bit of childhood trauma no matter what it is. So when you're out and amongst your mates, we was just always a bit naughty. You know, you might go door to door doing sponsorship forms, just trying to get a few quid from someone so we could go and get sweets or whatever. Ping a car window to, you know, nick the car stereo. Most kids were doing that kind of thing, and just because we was just left to our own devices all day really, and it just leads on to from one thing to another, you know. And if you're hungry and always wanting something to eat, or you've got no money, you want to try and get a bit of money to buy yourself the nice trainers or the nice tracksuit, whatever it is you want to try and get, you're going to find other ways to commit crime, and that's just what we did. I could say that every single one of these people watching this has been a criminal at some point in their life. I bet some of you have bought weed, I bet some of you have bought MDMA, I bet some of you have bought meow meow. So what, do you think you didn't contribute to the criminal world, that you wasn't involved in buying drugs and becoming part of money laundering? Really? You have to look at the reflection on society to really understand what's going on here. I discovered credit and debit card fraud really early on in life. I then met a guy who worked in a bank, humongous bank, and he was able to get blank cards, so blank Visa, blank MasterCards, right? And he showed me where I could buy the punching machine and said, look, I'll get you the cards and you just punch your own up. And that was kind of it. Now I've got the track 2 information, the real cards, and then we would just go out to stores. We no longer had to have internal members of staff. We could just go anywhere and we could just rock up with one of these cards, swipe it through. If it went through, it went through. If not, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You know, just because you're going around with these cards, you're learning the financial system, you're looking for other ways to exploit the information and the data that you're gaining. I was walking around a top shop in Oxford Street. There was a big sign that said buy now, pay later. And I just walked in, walked up, asked the girl behind the counter, excuse me, like, what does buy now, pay later mean? How do I do that? So she said, it's really easy to do. Do you work? I said, yeah. Have you got a credit or debit card in your name? I said, yeah. Got your bank details, yeah? I said, yeah, I've got all that. So she said, that's all you need, and you can leave today with up to £1,000 to spend. A couple of weeks before, I'd watched a programme on BBC Two that kind of showed us that people's information, the electoral roll, is kept in libraries. Yeah, now I've got hundreds of cards, but they've all gone out of date. Well, I'm just selling them. I'm not really doing that stuff when I find this thing, yeah? The only card I had in date was a card that said Mr. P. Patel on it, yeah? Walked straight back into the same girl and said, oh yeah, can I open up that store card, please? She goes, yeah, sure. She gives me a form. I fill the form out. I go back, I give her the form. And she just looks at the form. You don't look like a Mr. Patel, sir. I just said, it's Partel, it's French. And I just grabbed the form like this and she just went really red. And I realised that people only know what you tell them, you know. She put that through and it passed for $1,000 and I left wearing a nice suit on that day and coming out of that shop feeling $1 million, you know. It allows you to understand the financial system in a way like never before, you know. And I was doing that at 16, 17, 18, 19, it just rolls through, yeah, and then you start to master it. You become a master of your trade. Just like if I was a brickie, whatever it was that my trade would be, I honed my skills perfectly in on my trade, like whether it was making identification, whether it was making bank statements, whether it was making credit or debit cards, yeah, I wanted to be the best at that. My first arrest, my first prison sentence came because of a violent act I committed in a place called Southend. Been out, had it right off with my mates and like with, you know, it's party time. There's a bottle on the floor. I bent down to pick the bottle up. And as I come up, I got like a little bit dizzy. All of a sudden, I just got this doorman just rush me and just like proper like grabbed me in my throat, grabbed me by the side, grabbed me by like that, and that's it. Boom, put me right out. I was going, what are you doing, what are you doing? And then that's it, bang, threw me right out. What? I don't even know what you thrown me out for. What have you thrown me out for? Like, and then the guy just went, look, you're drunk. I said, but I'm not drunk. I've had like 3 bottles of Budweiser. What are you talking about? And then he slapped me around my face. In me just triggered something. It's a build-up, isn't it? I've got all that immense trauma. I've been bullied. I've had loads of stuff happening to me. I'm not going to have it. In the car, I've got a gun. In my head, I think the gun's real. Got in the car, got the gun out of the glove box, and so I had a bottle of like Cavo it was. Popped it, drunk it like that. Big bag of sniff. Put my head in the bag of sniff and went. Walked up the hill and see the doorman backed it, yeah, just pulled the thing out straight like that, yeah, and I just literally just let it off. The whole place went woof, everyone starts scattering and screaming, ah, and everyone's running away, yeah, and the doorman's just jumped, yeah. I learnt later that like they all just cacked themselves, of course they would, like a lunatic pulled out a gun, and then the next thing I remember I was waking up in the cell the next day. The copper was really lovely actually that arrested me, just come round to the cell door and he popped the flap and he went, oh, that's a bit of a mad one, like that. And I went, what have I done? I just felt so embarrassed. So that was kind of like violence leaving me, because I know at that point, yeah, like how much further can you go? I always find it funny when people say you have empathy for criminals. But are they not human? Are criminals not human? Like, I'm confused. As a human, I have empathy for other humans. If we took me back to a baby, am I guilty or am I innocent? Did I choose to be sexually abused? Did I choose for my mum and dad to leave? Did I choose to be bullied? Did I choose to have violent acts committed against me? I didn't, did I? I never chose none of that. It happened because of the environment that I was in. And that's how we have crime. It's just a fact, yeah? Where's all the middle class bank robbers? Where are they? They don't exist because there aren't any. Where are the upper class bank robbers? They're probably in a different set, doing whatever, and we're all robbing banks in different ways because they're just words, structures by society. Crime is a word, like I said, created by someone else. It doesn't make someone unhuman. With the money, I would always give it to people. People around me always got cars. We always went out shopping and we always done nice things that we're meant to do because, like I said, most of us come from rubbish. And so we just want to improve our lives a little bit, and all of those things give each one of us that are insecure a little bit of security for a moment.